You're walking to your car in an empty parking garage at night. Nobody told you to be afraid. Nobody warned you. But somehow, without thinking, your pace quickens. Your eyes start scanning the shadows between the pillars. Your ears tune into every echo. You tell yourself you're being paranoid. There's no reason to feel this way. And yet, your body refuses to relax until you're safely inside, doors locked. That reaction wasn't learned in a classroom, and it wasn't taught to you by your parents. It's older than that, much older, and once you understand where it came from, you'll never walk through a dark parking lot the same way again. For most of human history, the biggest danger wasn't other people. It wasn't disease, and it wasn't starvation, at least not directly. It was teeth, claws, predators larger, faster, and stronger than anything a human body could survive in a fair fight. Cave lions the size of small cars, saber-toothed cats built entirely around the act of killing, packs of dire wolves that could bring down prey twice their size. And your ancestors, soft-skinned, slow-running, and armed with almost nothing, somehow survived all of it. Not by being tougher, by being smarter. Here's the part that should surprise you. Humans are, by almost every physical measurement, one of the weakest predators to ever walk the earth. No claws, no fangs built for tearing flesh, no fur thick enough to stop a bite. Compared to a lion or a wolf, an early human was slow, fragile, and embarrassingly easy to kill. If survival had come down to strength alone, humans should have disappeared a long time ago. But something else was happening, something that had nothing to do with muscle or speed. Your ancestors weren't outfighting predators. They were outthinking them. Picture a small group of early humans moving across an open grassland roughly 2 million years ago. The sun is dropping low, and the shadows are stretching longer across the plain. This is the moment predators start to move, because most of the animals hunting humans back then were built for dusk and darkness. Big cats especially rely on low light to get close before their prey even notices them, which means the deadliest hour of the day for early humans arrived every single evening, right on schedule. So what did they do? They didn't try to outrun a cat that could hit speeds no human has ever matched. They didn't try to overpower an animal built entirely around killing efficiently. Instead, they changed the rules of the encounter before it ever happened. The first trick was almost embarrassingly simple. Never be alone. A lone human in open grassland is an easy target, isolated, unpredictable, and slow to react. But a group of humans standing together, watching in different directions, is a completely different problem for a predator to solve. Big cats are ambush hunters. Their entire strategy depends on surprise, on picking off something separated from the herd before it even realizes danger is close. Take away the surprise, and most of their advantage disappears with it. Groups didn't just provide safety in numbers. They multiplied the number of eyes scanning the horizon at any given moment, which meant a predator trying to approach unnoticed had to somehow avoid dozens of eyes instead of just one pair, but numbers alone weren't enough. Predators are patient. They wait, which is exactly why your ancestors developed something even more powerful: fire. Imagine that same group settling in as the light fades, gathering dry branches and grass into a pile, then coaxing a small flame to life. To modern eyes, that fire looks like warmth and comfort. To a predator, standing at the edge of the darkness, it looked like something closer to a wall. Most large predators are deeply, instinctively afraid of open flame. The unpredictable movement, the smell, the light that ruins their ability to move unseen, all of it worked against everything an ambush hunter depends on. A campfire didn't just provide light. It rewired the entire landscape of danger, carving out a small circle where the usual rules of the food chain simply stopped applying. And this is where something remarkable happened. Early humans didn't just discover fire. They learned to keep it alive, to feed it through the night, to treat it as something almost as essential as food itself. Groups that mastered fire consistently had access to something no predator could easily overcome. Groups that didn't eventually weren't around to pass on that failure. Scientists studying early hominin sites have found burned bone fragments and ash deposits dating back roughly a million years, Evidence that fire use wasn't occasional. It was becoming a habit, then a necessity, then eventually a defining feature of what it meant to survive as a human. But controlling fire and gathering in groups solved one problem. It didn't solve all of them, because predators are patient, and patience eventually finds the gaps. This is where something else kicked in, something almost invisible unless you know to look for it: staggered sleep. Researchers studying modern hunter-gatherer groups like the Hadza in Tanzania have observed something strange. At almost any point during the night, at least one person in the group is awake. Not because anyone assigned a watch schedule, not because there are formal shifts. It just happens naturally, as if the group's collective biology quietly takes turns without anyone consciously deciding to. Scientists call this the sentinel hypothesis. Natural variation in individual sleep timing wasn't a flaw. It was a built-in security system. If everyone slept on exactly the same schedule, there would be a predictable window every night when the entire group was unconscious and vulnerable at once. But if sleep timing varies slightly from person to person, that window never fully opens. There's always someone stirring, adjusting position, half aware, functioning as an accidental guard without ever being asked to. This single quiet biological quirk may be one of the most underrated survival tools your ancestors ever had. And you're still carrying a version of it today, every time you wake up at an odd hour of the night for no obvious reason at all. Group living, fire, staggered wakefulness. Each solved a piece of the predator problem. But there was still the matter of actually fighting back when avoidance failed. And this is where humans developed perhaps their single greatest advantage: the ability to throw. No other primate on Earth can throw with anything close to human speed and accuracy. Chimpanzees can throw objects, but clumsily, without real aim, without force. Humans developed a unique combination of shoulder structure, elbow rotation, and torso twist that allows a thrown object to travel at speeds that would tear apart the joints of almost any other animal attempting the same motion. That single adaptation changed everything. Suddenly, a human didn't need to get close enough for a predator to use its claws or teeth. A sharpened stick, a well-aimed rock thrown from a distance, meant an animal used to overwhelming prey through direct contact now faced something it had never evolved to handle. Danger that arrived before it even got close. Anthropologists studying ancient hunting sites have found evidence of sharpened wooden spears dating back hundreds of thousands of years, some found alongside the bones of large predators, suggesting these weapons weren't just used for hunting prey. They were also used for defense, for making sure a curious or hungry predator learned, quickly and painfully, that approaching this particular group of primates came with unexpected consequences. Over enough generations, something even stranger began happening. Predators started to learn. Animals that survived encounters with armed, coordinated groups of humans, groups defended by fire, numbers, and projectile weapons, began to treat humans differently than other prey. Some researchers believe this shift in predator behavior may have happened surprisingly quickly in evolutionary terms, as animals that repeatedly failed to successfully hunt humans began avoiding them altogether, passing that avoidance down as instinct. In other words, your ancestors didn't just survive predators. Over time, they started rewriting how predators saw them entirely, shifting from occasional meal to a species not worth the risk. This is where your own body enters the story, because you are still running large parts of this ancient defense system every single day. Whether you notice it or not, that instinct to walk faster through a dark parking garage. That switch that flips when you're isolated in an unfamiliar place at night. That strange, restless wakefulness that sometimes pulls you out of sleep for no clear reason. None of these are malfunctions. They're echoes of a defense system that kept your ancestors alive for nearly 2 million years before any of them ever built a wall or locked a door. Modern life has mostly eliminated the actual predators. Cave lions are gone. Saber-toothed cats are gone. But the alarm system built to detect them is still fully installed, still running in the background, occasionally misfiring in situations that have nothing to do with claws or teeth, like an empty parking garage, an unfamiliar street, or a moment of unexplained unease in a perfectly safe room. Researchers studying evolutionary psychology are still working out exactly how much of modern anxiety and hypervigilance can be traced directly back to these ancient predator defense instincts. It would be an overreach to say every uneasy feeling you've ever had is a leftover survival mechanism. Modern stress, environment, and individual experience all play their own roles too. But there's a growing body of evidence suggesting that many of the reflexes you dismiss as irrational, the quickened pace, the scanning eyes, the sudden 3 a.m. wakefulness, are simply very old software still running quietly in a very new world. Your ancestors didn't survive because they were the strongest animal on the plains. They survived because they built the smartest, most adaptable defense system evolution has ever produced, one made of cooperation, fire, staggered vigilance, and a uniquely human ability to strike from a distance. And somewhere inside you, all of it is still there, waiting, watching, quietly doing its job long after the predators it was built for disappeared. If you find yourself fascinated by the hidden instincts still shaping how you move through the world today, consider subscribing because every week there's another piece of the story explaining why you are the way you are. The predators are gone. The alarm system they built inside, you never got the memo.